Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. There's been a dip in business confidence for the first quarter of this year when compared to the last quarter of 2017. The Business Confidence Index dipped to 136.5 points in the first quarter of 2018, just below the 2017 year average of 138.6 points. Managing Director of Market Research Services Don Anderson, who conducted the survey, says the dip in confidence was too small to consider it an established change in business sentiment and should more appropriately be considered a normalizing of confidence. He says changes that influenced the dip were mostly due to declines in business profit outlook, expectations for the economy, and the price expectations. These dipped between 13 and 15 index points each. Now, the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce released the latest survey of business and consumer confidence this morning. Nomination day activities for the by-elections in the Yallas Division in St. Thomas and the Maple North Division in Clarendon should now be getting underway. The representatives are expected to be nominated between midday and 2 o'clock. Now, businessman John Alexander Lee is representing the Jamaica Labour Party in Yallas, while former councillor Constantine Bogle will be the representative for the People's National Party. Over in the Maple North Division, Tanya Lee Williams is expected to be nominated for the Jamaica Labour Party and Vivian Allen for the People's National Party. Portland has recorded its 5th murder since the start of the year, following last night's killing of a businessman. The latest murder happened in the vicinity or in the community of Windsor Castle in the parish. The deceased has been identified as 70-year-old Lloyd Chambers. According to preliminary police reports, shortly after 10 o'clock, Mr. Chambers arrived at his home in Windsor Castle when he was pounced upon by unknown assailants who shot him multiple times. His licensed firearm was stolen. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. One woman is dead following a motor vehicle collision along the Bogwalk Gorge in the vicinity of Prim River, St. Catherine on Monday. The deceased has been identified as Colette Reed. TVJ News understands that about 1:10 p.m., Reed was one of 2 passengers in a Nissan motor car that collided with a truck traveling in the opposite direction. As a result of the collision, the Nissan motor car fell into the river. The police were summoned and the car removed from the water. All individuals were taken to hospital where Reed was pronounced dead. The driver and the passenger in the Nissan motor car were treated and released. The driver of the truck, however, was admitted due to a broken leg. He has since been transferred from the Linstead Hospital to the Spanish Town Hospital. Tension has escalated between the Firearm Licensing Authority FLA and Attorney-at-Law John Jr., who is representing the businessman whose property in Manchester was inspected last month as part of a probe into the discovery of a machine capable of manufacturing parts for firearms. Mr. Jr. has confirmed that ministerial intervention is now being sought to address what is being viewed as a discriminatory approach to the situation by the FLA.
We have written off to Minister Chan to outline what we consider to be a clear case of discriminatory practices on the part of the FLA, given that the machine that has been the cause, as Mr. Darling said, of suspicion is replicated. There are a number of them throughout the country.
The FLA last month announced that it started a probe after requests were made by 8 individuals in Manchester for permits to purchase a high volume of ammunition. Mr. Jr. took strong issue with this matter and argued that the actions of the FLA were targeted unfairly towards the businessman. With the recent relocation of patients and healthcare workers from the Conrad Regional Hospital in St. James, the Health Ministry says it is optimistic that nurses who were affected will now see health improvements. However, the Nurses Association of Jamaica, NAJ, says it still has concerns.
Last week, the NAJ said it was considering legal action because of the illnesses its members were experiencing caused by fumes at the Cornwall Regional Hospital. The symptoms listed included rashes, headache, loss of memory, and an inability to function as they would normally do. On the weekend, patients and nurses were relocated to the Falmouth Hospital. At a press conference on Monday, Chief Medical Officer Dr. Jacqueline Bisesa McKenzie confirmed that the staff clinic had seen thousands of staff visits.
Over the 1 year period, we've had over 2,000 visits No, we don't have 2,000 staff members, right? Visits, okay. As I said, once persons have moved out of the building, I do expect that their symptoms would be resolved for the most part. However, for the persons that we would have identified based on their symptoms as high risk, then we would schedule review appointments for those.
However, following a tour of both hospitals on Monday, President of the Nurses Association of Jamaica, Carmen Johnson, expressed concern as she says nurses who were assigned to the Cornwall Regional Hospital are still experiencing symptoms despite moving from the facility. She's also worried about activities still being conducted at the Cornwall Regional Hospital.
Persons have still been complaining about issues in the dialysis unit that is on the first floor. And so we recognize that there's still some backflow, some noxious fume or agents that is facing challenges for them. Up to today, members had been complaining. Had complained from the regional unit through from the operating theatre, although they said the building has been emptied. What is still happening is that on the 6th floor we still have what we call the Central Sterilizing Supplies Department, where our nurses still have to go into to collect supplies or to prepare supplies for sterilization.
Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the staff clinic will remain open and so has encouraged the nurses who continue to show symptoms to utilize the facility. Herman Green, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, opposition spokesman on health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, said he's disappointed with how the situation at the Conrad Regional Hospital was handled. Dr. Campbell said the problem is not new and could have been handled better. He stated that Dr. Tufton mismanaged the situation, which has caused the problem to get worse. Dr. Campbell noted that Dr. Tufton kept the building open even after recommendations were made to close it. Dr. Tufton has indicated that advice received from Pan American Health Organization PAHO experts resulted in his ministry deciding not to totally evacuate the building.
And gave the instructions on the 28th of February 2017 for the main building. And at that time, persons were saying that there's only one building at Cornwall Regional Hospital. Need to understand that why it was said that the main building should be evacuated is because you had already relocated some of the persons. Because the issue, the air quality issue, having been something that's been going on for 9 years, was elevated to a crisis in 2016, and you started relocating some of the persons. So you're taking out some of the services off the building. So when the recommendation came to close the main building, it was not to shut down services.
And of course, Dr. Campbell was a guest on TVJ's Smile Jamaica this morning. Bishop Conrad Pitkin has been officially installed as the new custos of the parish of St. James. Bishop Pitkin is a senior pastor of the Faith Temple Assembly of God in Montego Bay. At the installation ceremony last Thursday, Governor General Sir Patrick Allen expressed confidence in Bishop Pitkin's experience, which he believes equips him with the ability to serve all the citizens of the parish.
The people expect this. Whether they live in Anchovy, Bogue, Cambridge, Coral Gardens, Glendevon, Granville, Johnsall, Lilliput, Montego Bay, Mount Salem, Orange, Rosehall, Somerton, Vaughansfield, or Westgate Hills. I did not mention flankers. But everyone knows flankers. You serve everyone from every socio-economic group and background.
I come to the office of custos as one who is committed to excellence through service, professionalism, determination, and the capacity to listen, grow, and lead even under trying circumstances. As a minister of religion, I am one who is a strong believer in servant leadership and team building, because together we can achieve great success.
Former Custos UN Corodas demitted office on January 31. Local Government Minister Desmond McKenzie is calling for local authorities to become more self-sufficient in order to reduce their dependency on central government. He raised the issue while addressing yesterday's opening ceremony of the inaugural Caribbean Conference of Mayors at the University of the West Indies Regional Headquarters in Mona St. Andrew. Mr. McKenzie said it is time for local authorities to generate their own sources of revenue as they move to become independent. He emphasized that the potential is there for this to become a reality. And time now for news overseas. We go to the United States. Special Counsel Robert Mueller is stepping up his investigation in the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. This as the FBI on Monday stormed the office and hotel room of Michael Cohen, one of Donald Trump's lawyers. The details from the CNN.
President Trump pulled no punches about the raid of his personal lawyer, Michael Cohen.
It's an attack on our country in a true sense. It's an attack on what we all stand for.
Cohen's attorney, Stephen Ryan, says the FBI executed a series of search warrants to seize privileged communications between Cohen and his clients. A source says the feds also seized items between Mr. Trump and Cohen.
What I would love to see is the affidavit supporting these search warrants, the statement made by the agents to establish enough probable cause to get a judge to sign off on this warrant.
Ryan says the raid stemmed partly from a referral by the Office of Special Counsel Robert Mueller, who is leading the Russia investigation. So, could Mueller see a pink slip sometime soon?
We'll see what happens, but I think it's really a sad situation when you look at what happened. And many people have said you should fire him. Again, they found nothing.
And while some agree when the president calls this ongoing probe a witch hunt,
this is a sham investigation. This is his own Justice Department trying to usurp the power of the presidency.
Others feel differently.
Make no mistake about it, there's going to be a lot of sleepless nights at the White House from here on out.
And time now for sports. Unfortunate, that's how JFF President Michael Ricketts described the resignation of head coach Theodore Whitmore, who decided to walk away from the program last week after the JFF failed to meet with him on contractual terms.
According to JFF President Michael Ricketts, Theodore Whitmore's resignation came as a surprise to him, and he only knew of it through a telephone call from TVJ Sports. Ricketts says he spoke with Whitmore twice since Friday and once during a meeting with senior members of the Federation on Monday. At this meeting, it was decided they would not accept Whitmore's resignation.
I said to him, based on instructions from the gentlemen who were actually in the meeting, that you submitted a letter of resignation. Now we are saying to you that we're leaving it up to you. Think about it and try and do the right thing. So the minister wants to be a kind of a mediator. So I'm waiting on her.
Coming out of the meeting, Ricketts and company have decided to give Whitmore a 50% increase in salary plus add-ons.
He gets $500,000 for his salary right now. And in addition to that, he gets a car that is fully maintained by the JFL. Of course, when he moves around, he gets per diem at $100 per day. If we do well in a competitive setting and there is match incentive, it is shared among the staff members and the players.
Ricketts says this figure was always on the table, but they did not get a chance to discuss it after a planned meeting on March 29 did not go ahead.
I called him 4 times after, never got to me. The next time I heard from him was the following morning, and he told me what he was actually in Montego Bay. I said to him, all right, since this meeting fell through, I'll try as best as possible and as quickly as possible, try and organize another meeting. Next thing I got was a letter of resignation, which I think is unfortunate.
Ricketts says the Federation is unable to pay any more than the additional 50% as its tampering season in Jamaica's football, which has suffered from previous contracts to overseas the coaches Bora Milutinovic and Winfried Schaefer.
And I hear some people talking about white man, and it's neither here nor there. And I'm saying that if Whitmore and I and the JFF cannot settle the differences, we will offer no more to nobody right now than we have offered to Whitmore. Whether you're white or you're brown or you're blue or you're pink, whoever you are, we will not offer any more than we're offering Coach Whitmore.
Assistant coach Jerome Waite will take charge of the team for the friendly internationals against St. Kitts and Nevis and Antigua later this month, should Whitmore decide against signing the improved contract. Reporting for TVJ Sports, I'm Keon Reyna.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashan Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.